Hi everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. Still got Kent's McCulloch 300 on the bench. You've seen it run, but I could never get this primer to work, and so I dug in, got some more information, found an IPL that kind of explained at least a little bit of how this should work. So hopefully I can keep all this in frame and keep it where you guys can see what's going on. This has one of those McCulloch Flatback carburetors, so I've got it obviously disassembled, but this is what it would look like. And there's no index pins on it. You got to line all this up with the screws. So that's how, excuse me, it's going to sit in there. This little primer screws to the side here, and you've got your primer rod right here. That little guy. And the rod's falling off down in there. It's kind of a pain in the ass to line up, but that's not important for what we're doing right here. I could not get this thing to start using the primer, so decided to get into this and see what's going on. So to start with, here's your fuel inlet. It's like every other carb of this style. The Tillis and HL isn't a whole lot different. Fuel comes in. Got your pump diaphragm down there that's impacted by the vacuum pulse. Fuel passage is right here. So as the fuel travels through the filter and up, it's going to come through this hole. This is the diaphragm, obviously, for the inlet lever. So fuel is going to come into this passage. There's the inlet needle. When the pulse from the engine actuates that diaphragm, push that down, needle's going to drop. Now you can see, I think, that coincides with this hole right here, which happens to be the inlet for this primer. So that primer is going to screw on right there. So in theory, fuel will come in on this piece of the primer and go out through here. So I've already pried this out, and I'm not going to do it again because I didn't lose the check ball or anything, and I don't want to tempt fate. But this is another rubber seat. There's a check ball and then a spring. Super simple. The ball seats against this until something pushes it off of it, and that pulse from the pump is what should push it off. That, let's see if I can get... Yeah, right, I think you can see it. There's a hole right down in here. That right there is where the primer will inject fuel straight down into the engine. I'm going to zoom back out here. There we go. That's probably about right. So anyway, it's a super simple primer setup. I don't honestly know why it's not working. I have a couple theories. One, these old O-rings that seal that pump to the body of the carb are flat here. I mean, they've been in there. What is this, a 1959, 1960 engine? You guys do the math. That's a long damn time. So we're going to test that theory a little bit with, I've got the hand soap out here. I'm not going to waste the good dish soap. I'll use the pomegranate foo-foo hand soap. But I'll just test this primer. I've already done this, and I'm going to make sure it's not aimed at my face. And I don't know if you guys can see the bubbles in the video, so just do a little bit of this. I'll get a little closer. The primer is working fine. There we go. Come on, baby. Yeah, it's working fine. So, I don't know. Like I say, I don't know what the issue is here, but we're going to try and find out. I'm going to smear some soap around here. If you had it all buttoned up, you could do like West Coast Muscle Saws does and have a bottle of spray detergent mixed with water sprayed on here, and that'll do just as good. this just screws into place with a couple little screws. And if you have one of these that you're working on, be careful not to strip these. These look like a... I think those are an 832 screw. So you can't put a whole lot of torque on them. If you do have a leak, figure out why the leak is there. Don't just reef on these or you're going to end up with a carburetor that's of no use to you. Now I felt that pull down actually lift this side, so I don't know if those O-rings have a problem. But all those passages are clear. I've ensured that with a little careful blast of air. Okay. So I should be able to see some... You know what I'll do? Get a little charge of fuel to put in this hole. And that'll also tell us if for some reason that needle is leaking. It shouldn't be. It wasn't. And it still had a charge of fuel in the hose. It hadn't all bled off back into the tank when I first started doing this, so I really have got to get a dropper. It'd be so much easier when trying to do something like this. It's fairly cold here in the Road Valley today, at least by our standards. That storm that obliterated Seattle last night, yesterday evening, whatever, has moved to the south, and so we're seeing a little bit of that. This is ridiculous. How much damn fuel could that hold? This is not a smart idea. I know I'm going to make a giant mess doing this, but I also don't want to make this video alright, that is full. I can do this without spilling anything. Okay. And it's holding against the needle because it's not going down. So what I'm going to hope is that we get a little burst out of... Oh! Pushed it back. There would normally be... The diaphragm would hold it and prevent it from feeding back like that. I forgot. Alright. Alright, we'll try and tempt fate twice here. Any of these plungers have got to have a check on both sides. They're not going to work right. Alright, take two. It's so strange. Well, I don't know. That's what it should be doing. It should be pushing some fuel out into that hole, and it is not doing it. So I'll have to do a little further work here investigating, but you guys were here. You see what's what one of these carburetors is made of, and I guess what it's supposed to do. Maybe it's leaking past those O-rings. Maybe the O-rings inside of that pump itself are weak. They could be deteriorated, and under pressure they don't work. I'm not sure. I will report back when hopefully I figure it out.